Whatever your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. The great Napoleon Hill said that. Before any of the current wonderful crop of people who are teaching and working in the self-improvement, personal development, and mindset world were even born, before any book or video or conference that may have helped you, before my own work on mindset and success, there was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This is a special episode of Prosperity and Something Greater. I want to say at the outset of this special episode of the podcast that the book that actually has made the biggest impact on me in my life, in this category anyway, is actually The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. Now, The 7 Habits was published in 1989, and I got my hands on a copy almost immediately. It was given to me by my employer at the time, a man named Tim Wentworth. I ate it up, and it changed me. And I've said many times since then that The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is the blueprint for the mature human being we all aspire to become. I was lucky enough to be able to read that book when I was only 29 years old. And certainly it was that for me. Dr. Covey, which I love about him, he credits everyone for his work. You know, it's based on the extensive and the exhaustive research that he had done on self-improvement and personal development writing from over a 50-year period. And I love the fact that he just admits up front that people have been writing, rewriting, repackaging, recycling, and sharing these timeless concepts since at least the days of the Stoics over 2,000 years ago, and even much earlier, since humans could tell stories and then write, I guess. So there's nothing new under the sun. And that's one of the reasons I always try to be very diligent and attribute what I share with people in my own coaching. I've had a couple of original ideas, but mostly everything I know is from standing on the shoulders of all of those who came before me. And one of those people for me is Stephen R. Covey. And also for me and for countless others, it is Napoleon Hill. In 1937, Napoleon Hill published Think and Grow Rich, arguably one of the most influential personal development and self-improvement books ever written. Most of what has been written since 1937, in my opinion, is derivative of this remarkable book. And Napoleon Hill himself stands on the shoulders of James Allen in As a Man Thinketh, as well as Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and the Stoics, Socrates, and so many more. But before 1937, there was a story to tell. October 26th, 1883, in the mountains of Southwest Virginia near a little town named Pound, a boy named Oliver Napoleon Hill was born. His parents were James Monroe Hill and Sarah Sylvania Blair, and he was the grandson of James Madison Hill and Elizabeth Jones. His grandfather had come over to the United States from England and settled in southwestern Virginia during 1847. Hill's mother died when he was 9 years old, and his father remarried 2 years later to a woman named Martha Ramey Banner. His stepmother was an extremely good influence on the young, cheeky, rebellious Napoleon, and he always spoke very highly of her the rest of his life. So Hill wrote the following: "For 3 generations, my people had been born, lived and struggled and died without ever having been outside of the mountains where they lived. No railroad, telephones, electric lights, or passable public highways, and there was no reason to think that anyone in the Hill clan would turn out any different. But that all changed when his father, a poor dirt farmer, married Martha. Martha was educated, cultured, the daughter of a physician and the widow of a school principal, and she was little prepared for the hillbilly living or a pistol-toting stepson. Something was going to change, and it wasn't going to be Martha. She vowed she would not live in poverty, and from that moment on, the Hill clan was going to change its ways. Within days of her arrival, Martha called her new family together, and one by one, she began planning the ideas that inspired each of them to believe they could become more than what they were. Her influence on Napoleon would echo throughout his life. That influence actually started with her husband. She had had a set of false teeth, which she dropped and broke. Her husband, who was very handy, picked them up and closely examined them. And she said, "You can make a set of those teeth just like those if you made your mind up to do it." And so he did. So she then encouraged him to try his hand at dentistry. And obviously things were a lot looser back then. And they sent away for a do-it-yourself dentistry kit. When it arrived, it wasn't much, but he worked hard on it and ultimately became a respected, successful dentist. Napoleon's brother Vivian worked his way from the local one-room school in their remote village to a prestigious law practice in Washington, D.C., and his stepbrother Paul followed the same course to become a respected surgeon. When Napoleon was 13, Martha got a typewriter in his hands, and Hill began writing as a mountain reporter, initially for newspapers. Then he attended Tazewell Business School, which had a one-year curriculum geared to get young men clerical jobs, from which they could then begin to climb the ladder of success. He did this by working for a successful banker and coal mine owner, Rufus Ayers. And then he went to Georgetown Law School and also wrote for a magazine. It was in 1908 that Napoleon Hill interviewed Andrew Carnegie, who shared his philosophy of personal achievement with the young man. And he made the offer to get him access to the most successful men of his day to truly expand on Carnegie's philosophy, his secret of success. Now, Hill's always written about the secret. He's played with it in his writings and always said we need to discern it ourselves. Have you heard it yet in this podcast? It's already been revealed in this podcast. What do you guess it might be? In 1919, he published Hill's Golden Rules magazine. And then from 1921 to 23, he published Napoleon Hill's magazine. And then in 1928, he published Law of Success. During 1933 and 36, he attracted the attention of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and he advised him from 1933 to 1936. And then in 1937, he publishes Think and Grow Rich. Now, his story gets interesting right about here. He openly discusses, actually frequently, how he had built a personal fortune and then he overdid it, and how he lost all of it in the Depression. And that wasn't the only time that Napoleon had really overdone it and lost what he had and had to start over. Once he had to get quickly and quietly, he had to slip out of town in Chicago because he'd gotten in trouble with some very dangerous and unsavory business people. And again, he tells his story in his own words, and he uses these failures and setbacks of his, and they're pretty significant, as teaching tools. Now, there are those who doubt he ever met Andrew Carnegie. It isn't actually verifiable, or that he advised Roosevelt. But I choose to believe Napoleon Hill's accounts. They're just as credible, if not verifiable. And in truth, I really don't care because his character rings through everything he ever wrote or said. And what he has to share and teach is so profound and so usable by all of us that whatever the source, Hill himself, those who came before him, it's incredible in its insight and its ability to change anyone's life. It certainly has mine. So in the period from 1952 to 1962, Napoleon Hill associated with W. Clement Stone of the Combined Insurance Company of America. And then during this time, he teaches his philosophy of personal achievement and does lectures on the science of success. And about this time, he really comes into his own. 1953, he publishes How to Raise Your Own Salary. 59, he publishes Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. In 1961, he publishes the Positive Mental Attitude Science of Success course. And in 1967, he publishes Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. Now, I share this list with you because these are all separate and original and new books. They're all different and they're all great. Grow Rich with Peace of Mind is literally a remarkable book, and it's published not that long before his death in 1970. Now, his foundation, which is online at naphill.org, that's NAPHILL.org, has carefully tended to his works and his legacy ever since. Hill's philosophy, brilliantly outlined in Think and Grow Rich, is comprised of the 17 principles of achievement. Well, it originally started with 16 and later included the 17th. An excellent reworking source of this work that is much more appealing to our modern ears is a book called The Keys to Success, The 17 Principles of Personal Achievement, which is something that his foundation published after his death. It's one of the Napoleon Hill books that I study regularly and routinely. Now, quickly, the 17th principle was added to the original 16 many years later by Napoleon Hill. And scholars have suggested, and I agree, that it should be studied first. The 17th principle is this one. It's called Use Cosmic Habit Force. Now, that's his more archaic term for visualization, truly using the subconscious mind to help support and guide you daily. And, I've adopted his method for speaking directly to my subconscious mind, which he outlines absolutely brilliantly in Keys to Success. And he does it inside number 14, Cultivate Creative Vision. And if you've ever listened to this podcast before, you'll always hear me say, smile when you wake up and then have a really great day. Nothing's more important. That's working with your subconscious mind. I spend regular amounts of time cultivating my relationship, strengthening, doing my subconscious push-ups with sub. Every night before I go to bed, I take all of my cares, the things that are going to wake me up at 3:30 or 4:30 in the morning, and then I put them in this vault. I can see it. It's a big hole that has a great big glass lid that I close, and it's, sealed up, and those problems and issues are down inside the vault. Sub has total access to them, and I often ask Sub to work on those and to give me some answers or improvement, advice, whatever, as I'm sleeping, but do not wake me up with them. And it's gotten to the point where that is almost 100% of the time. I do not ruminate at night now about my issues because they're locked away where my subconscious mind is working on them. I'll often ask that subconscious mind to deliver me ideas, to deliver me answers in the morning. And that doesn't always work, but it often does. And you would be amazed at what your own subconscious mind can do when you begin to develop your relationship with it. And for me, this is personal. It's a personal relationship with my subconscious mind. I absolutely love it. So here are the 17 principles. Now, I can't speak to all of them. We don't have the time, but I do want to dig into just a few of them in this episode. Number 1, develop a definiteness of purpose. Now, this is your main goal. This is your one thing. People often, ask me about that. What's my one thing? How do I know what my definiteness of purpose is? I struggled with that. And then I paid attention to what Napoleon Hill wrote about how Andrew Carnegie looked at it. So Andrew Carnegie did something, which is he developed U.S. Steel. He built U.S. Steel. He did that with a mastermind alliance of other people that helped him build the greatest steel company in America, maybe the world. And he became fabulously wealthy because of it. His one thing, his definiteness of purpose, was to create the greatest steel company that he could, U.S. Steel. Now, it's because of U.S. Steel that he was able to do all of the remarkable and amazing philanthropic work, to share his philosophy of success with others, and have the impact to put that dent in the universe that Andrew Carnegie did. But if he didn't have the driving machine called U.S. Steel, he wouldn't have been able to accomplish that. And that's when I realized that for me, Top Practices, the company that my wife Diane and I founded in 2007, that supports podiatrists in their work in growing, building, and enjoying and managing their practices, is in fact my definiteness of purpose. That is the mission that I am on to help others. And through that, I am able to build my own resources so I can do what I want to do, such as record and spend the time to put together a podcast about Napoleon Hill for you. I care about this. I can do this, and I can contribute my own little dent in the universe because I know my definiteness of purpose, which is to make Top Practices the best possible company I can. You need to think through what's yours. And if you have your own company, that's a pretty easy answer. If in fact you're working for someone else, that's still a good answer because the definiteness of purpose is developing your career in whatever it is you've got to do to get it to the kind of career that's going to support you and help fund your ideal lifestyle, take care of the emotional and financial stability and security of those that you love. Number one, develop a definiteness of purpose. Number two, establish a mastermind alliance. Now, this is key. I mean, this Napoleon Hill may be the first person to really put the concept of a mastermind group, a group of people who are like-minded and are focused on the exact same achievement of a definiteness of purpose or very similar definiteness of purposes together. And through the collaboration of those people, something greater is achieved. And he called that the mastermind. 1 + 1 + 1 equals 5, equals 12. It doesn't equal 3. And that's what a mastermind alliance can do. You can do that by aligning with key people that are geographically close to you or are like-minded, even like-hearted to you, that are surrounded around, that are spread out around the country. Certainly these days, that's easy to make that connection. And in Grow Rich with Peace of Mind, it's probably one of the best places that he talks about how to start and build a mastermind alliance. So I'm going to suggest you pick up that book and you read about how to start a mastermind alliance in the way that Napoleon Hill talks about it. But you can have a mastermind alliance with your employees, with your partners. Certainly, one of the key is with your significant partner in life, whoever that is. No relationship is more important than between you and that one individual that you share your life with. And so that can become a mastermind alliance. And in fact, anytime you read a great book from anyone, it doesn't matter what was some book that you read that really just gave you that paragraph, that great idea, you're in a mastermind alliance with that person that has found a way to share the best that they can with you by writing a book. And you can always get into a mastermind alliance with yourself. Do that by developing a really close, loving, supportive relationship with your subconscious mind. Number two, establish a mastermind alliance. Number three, assemble an attractive personality. Okay, I am going to speak to this one. I can't speak to all of them, but I have to with this one. Because when people now in the year 2020, which is the time I'm recording this, hear assemble an attractive personality, that just sounds so strange in our ears. What does that even mean? Well, think about how much people are trying to communicate, to share ideas, to influence other people. I mean, if you're one of my doctors, just to get someone that needs to solve their heel pain problem to spend the money on a pair of custom orthotics, that is an ability to be able to use your personality in a positive way to impact others positively and extend your definiteness of purpose. And think about it. It's like the number one thing that gets in everybody's way. We are obsessed with this, with our celebrity culture and the craziness of the news and all the nasty stuff that people do. Whatever happened to trying to be the kind of person that people would want to follow, would want to listen to, would care about what you have to say? Think about that. There's a gift in this. That's number three, assemble an attractive personality. Number four is use applied faith. Number five, go the extra mile. Number six, create personal initiative. Now, all of those, you think you know what they mean, but when you pick up the book and you read it in more depth, you'll find out it means so much more than that just surface, like go the extra mile. That surface, it's like, sure, of course. Well, no. What does that really, truly mean? Read the book. Number seven, build a positive mental attitude. Now, look, I got to say, every single one of these principles, Napoleon Hill at the end of the book says you create personal initiative with a positive mental attitude. You establish a mastermind alliance with a positive mental attitude. Everything is amplified and built by a positive mental attitude. That's why I end this podcast every single time and then have a really great day. Nothing is more important. No matter what comes your way this day, no matter what obstacle is thrown in front of you, you will do better. You will achieve more. You will be happier. If you cultivate the habit, the power of building a positive mental attitude. It's a bumper sticker. I know it's a cliche. I know, but it's incredibly helpful. And we're not as good at this as we think that we are. Number 8, control your enthusiasm, which every time I read it, I have to laugh because I love Curb Your Enthusiasm, the Larry David show, and they're not related at all. But control your enthusiasm. Think about this. He's talking about the fact that you want to make sure that you're appropriately enthusiastic. You know, so many people that like really want to sell you something or on an idea or a project, whatever it is. And they're like close talking you right up in your face. And they're trying to do their best. And they fail because their enthusiasm's completely out of whack. Or people that say, yeah, you really should do this. I think it would just be amazing for you. I don't really feel too compelled by that either. So how do you find that level that really helps support your ability to influence others in a positive way? Number 9, enforce self-discipline. Number 10, think accurately. And you know what? A few words on that one. When you watch cable news and you look at these opinion news shows, you are farming out your thinking to someone else. And we've gotten in an incredible habit for this. If someone who you've listened to before makes a statement and you think, well, they know what they're talking about. How do you know what they know what they're talking about? How do you know these facts are actually true or not? Always do your own research, think your own thoughts, never listen to these opinion people. They will, if you watch them over time, their opinions change dramatically as events change. And it's not even related to anything they said was going to happen before. They are entertainers that are trying to rile us up and make money. And they are one of the worst scourges that we all face. I tuned them out years ago. I live in the land of Rem. It's a very happy place. I try to get information as I need it, but I try to do it directly. I never, ever listen to what any of those opinion people think. I find them to be completely objectionable, and you should too. Think accurately. Do not delegate your thinking to anyone else. They have an agenda. What is their agenda? Do you know their agenda? Do you even care? Because I don't. Number 11, control your attention. Number 12, inspire teamwork. Number 13, learn from adversity and defeat. Inside every setback, failure, defeat is the seed of an equal or greater opportunity or benefit. This is a fact. If you just think about your own life, most of the things that you would describe now as very good in your life came from the ashes of a defeat or a setback that you had to deal with. And right now, many of us have to think long and hard about this. There are silver linings in all that we're going through. Find them, work on them, build them, pivot, learn from adversity and defeat. Number 14, cultivate creative vision. And again, I just have to say that is utilizing your own ability to use your subconscious mind to create your idea of what you want the world to look like, and then to bring that into manifestation. Thoughts are real. They are things. They have power. And if your thoughts are always negative or worrisome, that disease state is going to take you the other direction. Don't allow that to happen. Do your subconscious push-ups and take over your nights and your sleeping and just become a healthier individual. Number 15, maintain sound health. Number 16, budget your time and your money. And number 17 is use cosmic habit force, which I said again is that really visualization and many of the tools that people have, since then really brought into popular usage that allow you to stay focused and on track. In 1970, he went on and published Success and Grow Rich Through Persuasion and then passed away in November of 1970. He wrote a short essay on life I want to share with you. Life, you can't subdue me. because I refuse to take your discipline too seriously. When you try to hurt me, I laugh, and the laughter knows no pain. I appreciate your joys wherever I find them. Your sorrows neither frighten nor discourage me, for there is laughter in my soul. Temporary defeat does not make me sad. I simply set music to the words of defeat and turn it into a song. Your tears are not for me, for I like laughter much better. And because I like it, I use it as a substitute for grief and sorrow and pain and disappointment. Life, you are a fickle trickster. Don't deny it. You slipped the emotion of love into my heart so that you might use it as a thorn with which to prick my soul. But I learned to dodge your trap with laughter. You tried to lure me with the desire for gold, but I have fooled you by following the trail which leads to knowledge instead. You induced me to build beautiful friendships, then converted my friends to enemies so that you may harden my heart. But I sidestepped your figure on this by laughing off your attempts and selecting new friends in my own way. You caused men to cheat me at trade, so I will become distrustful. But I won again because I possess one precious asset which no man can steal. It is the power to think my own thoughts and to be myself. You threatened me with death, but to me, death is nothing worse than a long, peaceful sleep. And sleep is the sweetest of human experiences, excepting laughter. You build a fire of hope in my heart and then sprinkle water on the flames, but I can go you one better by rekindling the fire, and I laugh at you once more. You have nothing that can lure me away from laughter, and you are powerless to scare me into submission. To a life of laughter, then, I raise my cup of cheer. It has been a true labor of love and joy for me to have introduced Napoleon Hill and his 17 principles of success to so many people, and now to you. He is as timeless and relevant today as the Stoics of 2,000 years ago are today, especially today. I hope you explore his books and videos and tapes for yourself. Tapes, that's funny. They don't have tapes anymore. Oh, and his big secret, did you figure it out yet? It's easy. It's the very first thing I said in this podcast. Whatever your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. This is episode 1 in a 3-part mini-season. In our next episode, we explore your inner 6-year-old and how your relationship with your inner 6-year-old could change your life. Until next time, this is Rem Jackson. Smile when you wake up, and then have a really great day. Nothing is more important.